Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Networking the No Rules Way with author Christy Smallwood. I am your host, Sabrina Watson, founder of NetworkLiveVirtually.com, where we help you network locally, nationally, or internationally and build relationships all over the world. And my co-host today is Christy Smallwood, author and networker extraordinaire. You can find her book on Amazon. Networking the No Rules Way by author Christy Smallwood. And she has also been so kind as to share her book with us. So you can read it right here on Google Docs. She's got it set up on Google Docs. You want to share that link, Christy?
There you go.
And there is our link. Awesome. Today, we're going to talk about being intentional, right?
Yes.
All right. Take it away. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. So I thought we would talk about being intentional with our networking today, because there's a lot of times we talk about networking, we go to networking events. Some people, we either go to networking events or we're networking online. And there's the 80-20 rule. 80% of the people are just throwing stuff out there to see what happens instead of being intentional. So when you walk into a room and you don't have a goal in mind of certain people you want to try to find and meet and talk to or catch up with, having those real conversations, if you're just haphazardly, you're kind of wasting your time. Now it falls under marketing of awareness. You've at least shown up in the room. So there's a difference in showing up in the room to be seen versus being intentional about making the connections that you're looking for. And the same thing for here. I've been playing around with Blab a little more. I'm just showing up in some of these rooms to kind of feel my way around the system and to see what's out there and who's out there and if I like what they have to say, if I really want to connect or not. And that's my intention right now, is to just really play a lot of discovery. Once I'm in a room and I find people that I want to connect with, I will start to make that more intentional and make that connection more real. So we can either connect there or, with our platform here, I can follow them on Twitter and do some direct messaging. Then from that Twitter, I can connect with them on LinkedIn. And then we could start having, longer messages back and forth, share emails, have virtual conversations this way. Or if we're close enough, like I was at Disney with you, then we could have lunch together, kind of thing. So it's, how do you take it from walking into a room to just show up all the way to being intentional to actually start building the relationship? So what are some things that you do, Sabrina?
Oh, well, first of all, I want to say I just put the link in the chat. You can join Christy's networking group, which starts tonight at 8 p.m. And we have video and audio. So you actually will get an opportunity to meet everybody in the room. The link's in the chat box. So be sure to join us. It is free. I have learned so much from you. I haven't really learned my intentional part yet. But I have learned how to stop talking about myself. So believe it or not, that is a tough thing for everybody to do.
Yes, it is.
And I went to an event this past weekend. I went to WordCamp in Orlando, and I was there for 2 days. It was freaking awesome. And I made some of the most amazing connections ever. And all I did all weekend long was ask other people about themselves.
Yay!
And in every single case, it came around. And I've got a new phrase that I've coined recently, and you know me, I like to coin phrases.
Can't wait to hear this one.
So you're gonna love it. So now I send out my meeting link to people, and I say, "Hey, let's hook up and have a curiosity conversation."
Nice.
Yeah. So I have been reaching out to people. I was just talking about this in one of the networking groups, although I think somebody took it the wrong way as thinking that I was putting people on my email list, which I don't do unless I meet them in a networking event. But I can send a link out now to somebody, and I tell them to, schedule something with me. Let's have a curiosity conversation, and talk about how I enjoyed meeting them. And I'm more curious about what they're doing and blah, blah, blah. And that has become a super effective process for me. So my only intention these days is just to meet people.
And see how they fit in your network.
See how they fit.
Yeah. Now that you're meeting people, be intentional about deciding how they fit in your network.
Mm-hmm.
So are they going to be the friends you have girls' night out with? Are they going to be a potential vendor? Are they a potential strategic alliance? Are they, how do they fit? And that is up to you to be able to decide that, where that person needs to fit into your network.
Just about everybody fits somewhere, don't you think?
Yes. Yeah, there's no reason to really cut anybody off. There's an old adage in sales training. I don't know how modern it is, but it's an old adage that if you can't close them, cut them off. And that
Are you serious?
Yes.
I've never even heard that.
Have you heard buyers are liars?
No.
That's in there too. I'm not a big fan of that stuff.
No, that's mean stuff.
It is mean stuff, but it's trying to get the salesperson in a certain mindset to not give up. That not to believe the other person across the table when they say, I don't want to do this, I don't have the money for that. No, yes is a another opportunity, or a not right now kind of thing. Never give up. And that's fine and dandy, but there's also a very fine line about when you finally piss somebody off as a salesperson, if that's the approach that you're taking. So to be able to do that, understanding the person, you don't have to believe that they're lying. There's no reason for that. They may be hesitant because they haven't decided yet. How can you facilitate a decision for them? And the decision may very well be no. But it's the same thing whenever we're intentional about networking and not over-marketing ourselves, because we come across, if we're over-marketing, we're coming across as that same kind of salesperson when all we want to talk about is ourselves. Mm-hmm. When we can engage the other person in a good conversation, how did it get phrased last night? If we're comfortable enough to have a steady ping pong effect in our conversation, there's some compatibility there. There's a connection there. Mm-hmm. And that means a lot when you can do that. If you're intentional about having a ping pong conversation, you're not going to hoard the ball.
Mm-hmm. Very true. You guys, we do have an open seat, so feel free to hop on. Remember, we're networking the No Rules Way with author Christy Smallwood, and we certainly want to meet you. So if you're open to a little conversation, come on board and ask some questions. So what are some other aspects of being intentional, Christy?
With our own mindset, and I'm trying to turn my phone off so I don't get notified on anything. So sound off and throw away. There we go.
That's right. Pay attention to us.
Exactly. Mindset is a big deal. If we're intentional about our mood, our emotions, controlling that, it's not that we don't have emotions and stuff, but right now we have some women in the room. Women, we tend to have emotions a little bit more frequently than guys do. Guys do have emotions, but they are able to put those suckers in a box and close the lid and come back to it later. Women can't. And so we have to be more intentional about going in with a certain mindset and a certain mood. If we can't control that, we need to be intentional about not going into that room to bring negative energy. We need to pay attention to the energy that we're bringing into the room. It makes a huge difference. That's been one of the things that I have found personally. My personality, I'm kind of I've got plenty of energy to go around. That's my personality anyway. But the fact that I know that, I have to be intentional, because I know when I walk into a room, I have the opportunity to be the emotional leader of the room. I set the tone. In any room that I go into, that's the role that I can take. And Charlene, you've seen me do that before. If I'm in a bad mood, everybody knows it, and I'm aware of that. So I can't walk into a room in a bad mood, because then that starts all kinds of conversations that really probably have nothing to do with my mood. I may just have that whole, not the mood for this moment. So mindset is definitely, thanks, Charlene.
Charlene says, it's what I love about you. When you're in a good mood, everyone is in a good mood.
I have energy to share. My cup runneth over.
I hear that.
Uh-huh. So, but when I'm out of energy, I'm out of energy. And so I'm intentional about what I do when, as far as my energy levels go. The other thing that I'm intentional about is the types of conversations that I have. Again, I've added people into my network. I know those people who I can tell certain things to, and those people that I cannot tell that thing to. Like over here, we can talk about, a little bit more taboo subjects. We can get all political conversation and not piss each other off. Over here, there is no way I would enter into anything that's hinky because you don't know where that conversation is going to go. They're very sensitive. So I also try to pay attention to the other person's energy where they are. That's the nice thing about being intentional about learning the other person is I can control myself and the conversations that I have with them.
I was just going to invite Martin in. We just had Martin join us, and his profile said that he was a networking professional, but he just disappeared. So I guess that's that. So anyway, I want to welcome everybody. I want to welcome everybody that's new. You guys, we do have an open seat, so feel free to come join us. We're with author Christy Smallwood today, and we're networking the No Rules Way. And Christy has shared her Google link to her book. You can actually read her book with us if you would like. And the link has been shared in the chat box. Again, we have an open seat. And and Charlene Burke says it's a great book, which is, by the way, available on Amazon. You can get the Kindle version there too, because I have the Kindle version. And we are here every Wednesday at 10 a.m. I want to remind you to join Christy's networking group tonight, where you can meet her live and everybody else in the room live. And you get to network. We have audio and video. You get the opportunity to connect and exchange contact information. We actually get to meet people. Our topic today is being intentional. So let's talk about another aspect of being intentional.
So we've talked about...
Charlene asked, not to cut you off, Charlene asked about being intentional with your interactions as an introvert. Shallow end, deep end. What does that mean?
Thank you, Charlene, because having a point to go is great. Okay, so I'll start with the shallow end, deep end thing first. When you are walking into a room, so this is an event of some sort, and there's a ton of people there, and you don't know anybody, and there's all of the sea of faces, and you have no clue who they are. One of the things that we recommend to do to be intentional is start with one person. Just pick somebody out, probably on the edge. Especially as an introvert, you're going to just stay on the edge, probably go towards the food, the coffee, bathrooms, registration table. Those are the places where people are going to congregate more anyway. Stay close to there, create a conversation with one person. And whenever you create that conversation, you're creating the connection in the room. Now you have a shallow end of this sea of people. You're dipping your toes in the water, so to speak. And so now that you have that connection created and you guys are hitting it off, you're having a great conversation, start talking about who else could possibly be in the room. So make a plan with this person that, hey, let's reconvene in 20 minutes. Let's go see who we can find and come back and talk to each other. Or let's go find somebody to introduce to each other. And then that way you've now multiplied your efforts because your shallow end is now helping you. The other nice thing about having a shallow end, or bring your shallow end to a meeting that you know that you don't know anybody. Bring somebody that is a comfort zone for you and do the same thing. Do the whole divide and conquer kind of thing. You go this way, I'll go that way. Let's see what we can come up with. When you can do that, you're also pacing yourself. So if you're thinking about you've just learned how to swim and you're going to go to the 9-foot section and swim for 5 hours. Can you do that? Probably not very well. You're going to wear yourself out and it's going to feel like you're drowning after a certain point. There's no walls to hang on to. There's no floaties to get on, nothing. Okay. So that's the other nice thing about having a shallow end is it creates a nice, steady, energetic pace for you while you're in the room. So you're able to come back to the shallow end, create some more comfort level. The stress level will come down for that introvert because now you're talking to somebody you're comfortable with. Then gird up your loins and go back out again. Go find another one that you don't know and start creating a broader shallow end. And eventually over time, if you go to that same type of event or you go to another event where those same people are your shallow end will become larger. And then you'll end up going to these things and it won't be quite so deep anymore because people in the room start to recognize you when you come in, and you don't necessarily have to be the one to go after new people. Those people are bringing them to you. That's intentionality over time as well. Don't give up after the first meeting. If you go and you're uncomfortable and you've not created, it is fun when people come to you. I feel like Norm in the room, like Norm from Cheers, whenever I walk into a room and people, oh, Christy. Yeah, because I'm bringing that energy with me and people just love to come to that energy. And I know that, so why not use it? When you can do those sorts of things and you're creating it, you have to stay intentional over time to build that connection base with people so that they will start connecting with you.
So I'm going to go to an event on Friday, Christy. So, and I'll take, I want you to give me an intentional, piece of homework. And then I'm going to report back to you next Wednesday, everything that happens with my intentional piece of homework.
So tell me about the event. What are you going to?
You would have to ask that.
Yes, because it matters.
I know, but I'm actually not quite sure. So I'm going to look it up online real quick. I was invited and in fact, kind of said, you need to come. And it's a really big group that I'm a member of. It's called the Tampa Bay Business Owners Group. And to tell you the truth, I just haven't had time to really look at what is going on. Let me look for you real quick. It is, wow. I just went to like the Verizon page. Okay. Second annual business symposium is what's going on Friday. Let's see. This year's business symposium is presented by the Walk Law Firm. Will be one of our largest events yet. It's a full day jam-packed with education, speed networking, a business marketplace, and tons of great prizes. So what does that say to you?
That says you've got some different opportunities within there. If they're going to have a speed networking function, there's going to be some open networking possibly, as well as a business expo style trade show. So you've got 3 different formats that you're in there with. So you have 3 different intentionalities to do. The speed networking, you're gathering as many people as possible. Speed networking is all about gathering, okay? Mm-hmm. Because you don't have time to create meaningful connections during a speed networking. That's why they have speed dating. You're not creating somebody that you're going to marry at speed dating, okay? Same thing for speed networking. You're not going to create a new business with somebody in a minute. So you're gathering people and their information. First impressions is the part that matters with speed networking. So your whole intention is to gather as many as possible. That's intentional there. Mm-hmm. Your follow-up from speed networking, though, is to separate those categories out into where they fit into your network. So if you've got a plumber that is set in front of you and they're networking, then do they fit into your network as a potential person that you're going to need for your maintenance needs? If you have another website designer that's sitting in front of you, how do they fit in your network? Mm-hmm. Right? So that's the intent. There's 2 steps to speed networking. Gather as many as possible and then categorize them when they walk away. Now, your open networking is, since this is a full day event, the assumption can be made that those people that are at speed networking should also be floating around throughout the day. So if there's somebody that has sparked with you during speed networking, or their category says, okay, I definitely want to connect with them more, I want to have a conversation, then you can start that conversation during the open networking time throughout the day. Okay, so that's assignment 2. So now you've categorized these people, you need to go find them and start the conversation.
Okay.
Now, the trade shows, the business marketplace, I guess is what they're calling it. To me, I envision, a big room with lots of booths that have the businesses showing off their stuff, who they are, what they're about, and giving out the little tchotchkes. Those are great because they are already marketing themselves and they're captured. They are a captured audience for you. Mm-hmm. You can walk up and you can ask questions to any of them. So if you have a specific kind of business you would like to add into your network, or if you've got something going on that you want to do business with, like you would want to do services for that business, find the list, the directory that they'll have there of the business marketplace, and go find those people and start creating that ask all your questions that you want to know about. All right, create those connections, and then within those questions, you can actually qualify them if they are a potential good customer for you. And then the rest of it is bonus, because you're going to have, I don't know, typically they have at least 100 businesses during one of these kind of showcases. So you're going to have a lot of opportunities to add more people into your network, because I don't think all of those businesses will be at speed networking. Probably you'll have about, at a good speed networking, you'll have about 40 to 50, because that gets everybody through. Like if they do it for 45 minutes, you should be able to get a good 15 people in front of you in 45 minutes. So those are 3 different things.
15 people?
In 45 minutes, you should be able to get
number?
15.
Sorry, I'm working on some electric here. I'm having a battery issue. So I'm trying to get something plugged in. So speed networking, 15 people in 45 minutes. That doesn't seem like very many.
Well, during a speed networking, you got a lot of variables to it. I've ran these things before. It drives me crazy because they are chaotic. Uh-huh. So first of all, understand a speed networking is chaotic.
Right.
You're going to have a person in front of you. I don't know if they'll do a minute or 2 minutes. Some people like to do 2 minutes, and that's fine. If you do a minute, we typically would do a format and would run the format a minimum of 30 to 40 minutes. And I could get 14 to 15 people run through in 30 to 40 minutes. Because if I give you a minute and I take a minute and then the bell rings, somebody's got to get their ass up and move. That's the problem. That takes the time away from logistically getting everybody through. So it's not like I get a minute, you get a minute, I get a minute, you get a minute, I get a minute, you get a minute. It's I get a minute, you get a minute, and we have to move for a minute.
Yeah, I guess I never considered the fact that there's really 3 minutes total there. So 3 times 15 would be 45 minutes. Uh-huh. Because you never think anything's going to take as long as it's going to take. I always thought I could paint a room in, a couple hours, and it took me like 2 days. So,
right. Yep.
I had to paint a room in my house.
Yeah. So that's how those things work. You take time into consideration as well. And that way you're not setting your expectations into, 45 minutes, I should be able to get 20, 40 people through here in 40 minutes. No, there's more to it than that. So if 45 minutes of a format, speed networking, 15 people is great. Mm-hmm. And that's a good, if you get over 15, mazel tov. That's awesome.
Maybe we should do a speed networking event on Blab.
That would be interesting. I'd like to try that during one of my shows on Wednesday nights. Mm-hmm.
That would be very interesting too. So, we'll have to talk about that. Again, just a reminder, everybody, you can join Christy's live networking event tonight at 8 p.m. Oops, I just put the Blab link in there. I put the wrong link. Where you actually get an opportunity to meet her and everyone in the room live tonight. And also, I want to ask Christy, what are you doing tonight at your networking event?
Tonight's going to be the launch. It'll be like an open networking feel. We're going to talk about what's going to happen for future shows and things like that. And I think I have decided to not do it the night before Thanksgiving. So to because that's a food prep night.
Well, for everybody I know. Yeah, and everybody I know goes out to dinner because you got all this family going on. So just if you're watching live today, just be aware that our virtual networking groups tomorrow or next week are going to be a little on the sparse side because some of them are typically Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and all three of those are going to be big Thanksgiving days. We have the same situation around Christmas. So
Yeah.
we have a couple groups running, but I think the rest of the groups have pretty much aced out of Thanksgiving week. So
Yeah, so I'll probably do the same thing for travel reasons as well. That way I don't have to worry about connection issues in the middle of Tennessee. Who knows what happens in the middle of nowhere. But it will be fun because it'll be just a lot of getting to know each other and setting things up, and here's what to expect. So it's kind of a soft launch into what it is. But I've already decided to change the name.
That's all right. No big words. I stole yours for my networking group, but that was actually before we even met. Just so you know, that's
fine.
Just a little form of worship there. I stole stole the name of your book. Hey, Chuck, by the way, I see you're here and you know that we have an open seat. So feel free to hop in here. I haven't seen you in a while. I'm not sure why you're hiding, but would love to see you again. All right. Christy, just to remind everybody, go ahead and share your link again. We do have an open seat. I know, Miss Charlene, you always got plenty to say. So come on in. We're talking about networking the No Rules Way with author Christy Smallwood. Our theme today was intentionality. We've kind of really chatted a lot about that. Are there some more points to that we can talk about, or should we move on to another topic?
I think really just to remember that when we're doing anything, if we want to get our goals accomplished, we have to be intentional. I think that happens for anything that we decide to do, and networking is no different. So we need to make sure that we're intentional about setting those goals. If I'm going to be, on Blab or setting up my LinkedIn or reaching out to people or whatever, there needs to be a point of intention behind it. What do I need to do with this? It doesn't need to be so haphazard. How do I get my action here to help get me closer to my goals? And that needs to be applied in all of these different formats and settings, situations, everything that we do with this, how we're presenting ourselves online, how we're presenting ourselves in person, all of it.
Okay. One of the things that I want to ask you about also is you're getting ready to do you're putting together a boot camp, huh?
Partnered with you, yes.
So at some point in time, we are going to actually be able to help those of you that struggle with connecting. We are going to have a 4-week boot camp happening at some point in time. We don't know our launch date on that yet, to help those of you that have trouble connecting. So, hey, Steve's here.
Hey, Steve.
And Chuck says intentional, meaning with a goal and a plan.
That is part of the intentionality, yes. So if you have a plan, so we're talking about networking, right? So networking is happening now in a multitude of formats, whether it be when you physically go to an event or something like this on Blab, or you're using your LinkedIn to reach out to people. Networking is happening in all kinds of different forms and formats. So an overall plan of how we need to be able to achieve that goal. Okay, so we have a goal that we want. We need a plan to get there, and understand the goal is the desired end result. The plan is going to have lots of challenges along the way, so you're going to have to zig and zag, and that plan needs to be as fluid as possible. Don't get so wrapped up into the plan itself. Always focus on the desired end result, because plans have unknown variables that we don't take into account. Now, if we are intentional, there's less unknown variables. So with our actions, if we're intentional about how we're setting ourselves up on all of our profiles and formats, if that cuts out confusion. So if we're intentional about being definitive in our presentation of ourselves and our business, it cuts out confusion on the other end, which makes the process more efficient. Okay, if we're intentional about when we're going to an event and we walk into the room, if I know there is a couple of people, either in industry or specific people, that can help me get to my goal faster, That's my intention when I walk into the room. So it's how do I be intentional with these formats that will help me get to my goal smoother and faster, much more efficient. Does that make sense, Charles? Oh, flexibility is very hard because that falls under patience. And patience may be a virtue, but I never tell people to pray for patience. Do not ask me to pray for you for patience. And I'll tell you why. Because you have to understand how to develop patience. There's a lot of shit that has to happen to develop patience. You go through a lot to develop patience, and I don't like that. So I pray for peace. When people ask me to pray for them, I'll pray for peace because you're going to go through stuff to develop patience. And if you have peace at heart, you can think clearer. If you can think your way through those situations when unknown variables happen. If you are being trained to be more flexible, you need to be patient through the flexibility. If you can have peace of heart and clarity of mind to work through the flexibility, it's going to go much better. It'll just go tons better.
So you're saying we can be trained?
Yeah. Well,
so
if you're intentional about being willing to be trained.
Well, having said that, one of the things that I want to say is that I've noticed, believe it or not, and I don't know how many networking groups there are in this country and how many chapters each of them have. And I've attended a number of them. And this just is something to your credit and people like you. But it seems to me that networking is still in the dark ages, and you still walk in and you still find the cliques standing in the corners that are not reaching out to other people in the room. It's just a social time for them. And you still have people who don't know how to connect. So, and it doesn't matter whether it's virtual or local or in person, they do not know how to connect. So we have this huge opportunity right now to teach people how to connect. So what do you think about that? That statement I just made? People don't know how to connect.
I agree. There's the conversation is a lost art. Mm-hmm. First of all, because and I will blame social media. Because people have gravitated to social media so quickly, it is an easy way to not have an in-depth conversation. And I'm not saying this for everybody. An 80-20 rule totally applies here because people like Charlene and like you have been able to utilize the tools to develop good connections and conversations. But it's rare and people still don't know how to do it. But it has nothing to do with the tool. It has everything to do with back to being intentional. Do they want to get outside of themselves to create new connections? And my mom, bless her heart, my mom's a wonderful person, but my mom, being hurt with friendships over time, has just said, nope, not going to do it. Not interested in having new people. I just get hurt way too much. And so she doesn't put herself out there for new opportunities very easily because she's got definitely a guard up against everybody that's new that may come into her life. Now, yeah, and Charles, you're right. It's who do we believe and how do we filter out all of this stuff that's going around us? It's like sensory overload with everything going on in the world. And sometimes we just want our comfort zone around us. So if we finally have a comfort zone of people called a clique, we just kind of want to stay in our little clique because it's comfortable. It's not so much that we don't want to be around we just don't. Because this is comfortable. Like I don't take my shoe, not me. Okay, this is my guy friend last night. He has a thing about wanting to clean his shoes when he comes in. Well, fantastic. Why don't you just take your shoes off at the door? Because I don't want to take the time to take the shoes off. I just want them clean. Like, okay, same kind of thing. We're getting into a comfort zone here of not having to make new connections. Mm-hmm. That's what it's been about. We talked, I think, last week about the difference between gathering and connecting. And we've got Charlene, and I'll pause because Charlene, that's a great point. Isn't that where our personal foundation comes into play? If I'm grounded, prepped, and ready with the shallow end, then I can make new connections. Yes. because that's being intentional with a plan. That shows an intentional plan of action to network and connect with people. And there is a difference between gathering the numbers, gathering more people, gathering subscribers, gathering an audience. There's a difference between gathering all these people that you don't have to have a conversation with and actually connecting with somebody that you do have a conversation with. So when you gather the audience, you're just pushing out information. You're just pushing marketing and you're creating awareness. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to understand the difference between the two things. If you're gathering an audience to push information, it's not creating a connection.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's all people really know how to do is they're trying to find that audience these days. Just go boom, 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 boom. I want to send this out there, send this out there, send this out there. Of course, I call it the pigeon syndrome. Charlene's right. That's Periscope, gathering an audience to send it out there. I call it the pigeon syndrome. You know, where you fly by, drop your shit, and keep going.
Right. So, right. And Charles, I like that. What I've been referring to it is there's likability and credibility. And I learned these words from another person that had in my life. People like to do business with people they like. And you show you know your stuff by credibility. Those are parts of first impressions. I will know in the first 10 seconds whether I'm going to like you and I think you're not full of shit. I will also know within the 5 minutes whether I want to continue a conversation with you or not on any level. So it happens very quickly by human nature. And I'm more intentional about it. So I can make it go a ton faster because I've studied it more. I've just been more active with it. But yes, if people can be sincere, it builds a trust factor. What you see here is what I am when I go to this lunch after we're done with this session. People get me. I don't have time to fake it. I don't have time to remember the different person I am in different formats. I am going to be genuine.
And you'll get tripped up like that, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, Charlene. Yes.
Come on in, Charlene.
Join.
I didn't make Hey.
What's happening, Miss Charlene?
Hey. Well, boom.
Yeah. Boom.
So we're recording, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I have I run my own networking meeting, right, on Wednesday mornings, and it looks like I'm going to get Viveka von Rosen to come in and present and have personal Q&A with the attendees. Yeah, we're going to discuss that Friday to see what's a good day.
So you pulled that off through...
Because we're connected. Because it's one of the reasons why I wanted to jump up to follow up what Christy was talking about. You have that initial impression, you have likability followed by credibility. So Viveka and I, and she even said it straight out on LinkedIn. She said, we've been into each other's spaces for a long time. And it's true. She's seen me on LinkedIn. We've corresponded, if you will, in groups where we've replied to each other, participated in comments and things. And then over the past couple months with her activity on Blab, she's seen me. She has dropped in on my program, but she has seen me in comment sections. And so what happened is we liked each other because of what we saw, what was happening online and what we're doing. We have respect for each other as professionals. But now the level of credibility has gone up because we're actually seeing each other in different settings, which helps to determine, I do want to know her more. I want to know her past the 5 minutes. So that's a way to describe what Christy was describing, that it doesn't really, these kind of relationships don't happen overnight generally, and they don't happen after a week. But when you're patient, and that's what I had to learn from Christy and her business partner and others, they taught me. Trust me, this didn't come naturally to me. But when you're patient and you're intentional and you put to use the tactics that, may I? Sure. There's my copy of the book. Put it actually to use and start practicing it, even if it's uncomfortable, which it was for me. The benefits are you get connected with really terrific people.
Oh, Yes.
I mean, I love
Mhm.
Sabrina, and how long have we known each other? Since June.
Yeah.
We have private confabs. Eventually, I'm going to get a hug from you, Christy. All I got to do is call up and say, meet me for lunch and give me hugs. I miss you.
Oh, by the way, we need to go play pool with Dana.
Oh, well, that's easy. That's not a problem.
We can make that happen, right?
Well, she's short enough. Actually, you are too, Christy.
Yeah.
I might put y'all on the 9-foot tables just for fun, but
Don't be mean.
no, we'll go someplace. I know a great place for 6-footers. Yeah, we'll do that. But that's it. Dana is a fantastic lady. If she had time, we'd get her on here, but she doesn't have time for social media, literally.
Mhm.
She's not in business and doesn't need it. But it's just moving forward with intention.
Mm.
And so what I can back up with before I met Christy, before I met her, it was social media that suited my ability to connect, because I am not naturally one to connect in person. It is difficult to have conversations. Social anxieties, didn't know how to do it, didn't know quite where to take it. Hence, thank goodness for Christy and her business partner. But until then, I used social media. I used LinkedIn and Twitter primarily, and then eventually Facebook and others to initially connect, and then learned how to take that from online to offline on purpose.
All right. You can also connect with Christy here. I'm going to put your link in. If you would like to connect with Christy tonight live, we do have a live virtual networking group. And since we're all here, I might as well just say we are all hosts of Network Live Virtually.
Mhm.
So you can find us at networklivevirtually.com, where we host networking events, all of us, every single week, that are live with video and audio. We exchange contact information, and we get to know each other with people all over the world.
Yes.
And tonight's the launch of mine. We'll see how this goes.
Right. Tonight we're launching Christy's.
I'm doing a test lab to test the equipment at Bellarmine University.
Oh, cool.
Because he wants me, I'll be presenting to the students, but he wants to try doing it from Blab. So we're going to have a big old test tonight to make sure everything's working correctly. Fun. Yeah. And to determine what the rules of engagement, right?
Right.
He needs to understand just how open and public Blab is. How, who do we want to bring in? And actually I was looking at Ronnie. You haven't been around, dear. He just came in. To see, I'm looking for international friends of mine to see if I can't call them in to the Blab at one time or another to show the students the impact this type of platform can have on a business.
So are they gonna broadcast you on the wall in the room, and you're gonna be remote?
I don't know where my face is going to be, and I'm not going to worry about that part. I just know my lips are going to be on straight and the hair is going to be better than it is.
So you're not going to be in the room with them.
Not right now. I was originally.
Okay.
Originally, I was going to be there as the guest lecturer brought in, but he said, "Hey, you're on Blab." I said, "Hey, yes, I am." So he says, "Hey, do you think that'll work?" I said, "Hey, yeah, I think it will, but you don't know what you're doing, so let's practice first." And so I'm sorry, it's at 8:00 tonight. I may be able to come in later. It depends on how much time I actually spend on with him. So that's the only reason I won't be.
Soft launch. It's not going to be overly formal. It's just going to be here's what we're getting ourselves into for the future stuff. And I will launch my new title for it tonight as well.
You're not revealing it now?
Oh.
Ooh.
All right.
Facebook
PMing. I'm doing a PM via Facebook. I am.
Because I will be rewriting the No Rules Way. And so it will include the title of the virtual networking show.
I got an idea.
Ooh, I like that.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be exciting.
Am I going to be in the new one too?
Well, yeah.
Well, I want to be in. Me. Okay,
that's a great idea. I am going to start collecting networking stuff from everybody, and it could be a much better book that way.
Yeah. You can put me in there for Curiosity Conversations, my new tagline.
Or don't be a pigeon.
Yeah, don't be a pigeon. Don't fly by and drop your shit and keep going.
Yeah, I always called it drive-by link dropping on LinkedIn. That's all you're doing. You're just dropping your links as if I care. I don't want to clean up after you.
Well, and here's the thing that I don't get. Do people really think that works?
Yes, because for some it actually did for a long time. And that's where they're hearing it from, are those that it worked. It really, truly did work. It was an effective way to market yourself. The problem is that coming around 2010, 2011, a couple that it worked for wrote the book, and their books, that wasn't the focus of the book, but that's what people took because it's the easiest thing to do. When you read the books of the experiences that these people had, that was one part of what they did to be successful. So now we have an onslaught of people that are just cherry picking the easy things, thinking that it will be successful, and it's not in that way. Because you have to have, in order for it to be successful, you have to have, check this out, you have to have an established presence. You have to already be known and followed so that people want to read what you're linking to. If you just drop into a group and nobody knows your name or who the heck you are, why would they click on the link?
I think I have a good sample. An example, good example is the word I was looking for. I just looked out my window and I'm like, it's downpouring.
Yeah, they were actually, Mark Weinberger, who I think when I got into the wine a bit much, was talking snow.
Ouch. So
yeah. Bite your tongue, girl.
I already did.
Right? A good example of that is when Beyonce released her last album through Twitter. That's how she launched her last album.
Okay.
Twitter
so
release.
Did that work for her? I don't know. So
it did because she had the following. Versus, let's take a local garage band. If they tried to do that, how do you think their sales are going to differ? Because if you have a following of 100 versus 100 million, which is going to be successful in that?
It also applies to crowdfunding. I was just talking about this yesterday with somebody in the after show of my program, and he was talking about maybe going to Kickstarter. He was really looking into that, and for what he has, it's an appropriate use of Kickstarter, but it really does. Think about that for a second. If you're going to try to get funds from the crowd, don't you think you would get funds from a crowd that knows who you are? Wouldn't it be more successful if you already had a crowd to ask for funds from? Which is oftentimes why Kickstarter and GoFundMe and other programs will fall apart, is because these people aren't connected to anybody.
Right.
You can't spread the word, and it doesn't take many. That's why I love what Christy's teaching, is that if you can take a connection beyond the exchange of the business card or a link like Sabrina's saying, and add them to your network, what you're doing is you're expanding your network by their network, because it becomes really about all who know you. And that's what I've learned in my time on social media, is that I am known by many, and I didn't realize how many until I got on Blab, because I get emails out of nowhere. I get messages on LinkedIn, What are you doing now? What are you doing now? I can't believe. What are you doing now? Why are you doing that? And they're from people that I haven't been connecting with, but now I'm attracting them, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's that credibility. They've seen me around. They've been watching me, and that's what everybody does. That's the joy of being online. I get to watch you first. So, not that I'm not gonna kickstart anything. Trust me, that's I don't have a big enough network for that yet. Plus, I don't have a project to kickstart.
I got projects.
But yes, you do. But I actually have people that are coming to me now, which I find very interesting, who think that I have enough influence of over a following right now that they're asking me to help promote them by virtue of attaching to my name. And this year is the first time that's happened. And,
wow. And that's going to happen a lot more often.
Yeah, wow. Now, there's an indication, right? An indication how far you've come. a milestone, if you will. It's something that says that the work you're doing is effective, that the work to build a network and make those connections is effective.
Well, and not only that, but some people out there are going to look at you and your network, how you work with your network, as an extension of their marketing plan.
Correct. Which I don't have any problem with, as long as you do the same for me.
Now, if that's the only thing that you're asking me to do time and time and time again.
Oh, I don't. I'm not.
That's
using
a big move.
Yeah. I've been used once. That's all that needs to be said on that one.
Yeah, well, you only let it happen once.
That's
okay,
right.
Ladies, it is 10:54, so we're going to wrap this up here in a few minutes. But I'd like to remind everybody that tonight, I'll put the link in again. You can join Christy Smallwood's live networking group, which will have video and audio. We'll get an opportunity to actually interact with her on a one-to-one basis, plus the other people in the room. And we are here every Wednesday at 10 a.m., Networking the No Rules Way with author Christy Smallwood. And I also want to, so we will see you again next Wednesday. But also, Christy, why don't you do a little bit of a 5-minute wrap up and give us an overview of what we've talked about for those people that want to take notes.
So being intentional is really the bottom line of all of this. We need to be intentional with anything and everything that we do. Set the goals, so the desired end result, and how to develop a flexible plan, because there's always going to be unknown variables. Within that flexible plan, you are using networking to achieve your desired end result. Networking comes in different forms and fashions, whether it be online, like we are doing here with Blab, or LinkedIn, or various social media outlets. Pay attention to how you're presenting yourself on those. Do you have your profiles set up completely and correctly? Are you clear in your definition of it's who you are and what you do, what you're about? And then how are you applying that offline? So whenever you go to an event and you walk into a room, are you being intentional about what you're trying to accomplish in there? And don't do the pigeon thing. Don't just drop your cards everywhere.
Pigeon.
Don't be a pigeon.
Drop your shit and keep going.
Don't do that. That's not as effective as you think it is. So what you want to do is create a shallow end in this massive sea of people. You want your shallow end to enter into. You can create a little bit of a comfort zone to help pace yourself. So find that one or two persons that you can talk with, you already have a connection with, or create a connection in the room, and then kind of divide up and come back to that shallow end and take notes. Compare notes as how the event's going and people that you've met. And if you've got somebody in that room, or should be in the room, or you're trying to find somebody, the shallow end can help you find that person as well to create connections with. So always be looking towards, how can I be intentional with finding the person that I need that can help me get to my desired end result faster. And be intentional with your own presentation. From everything from how you look to how you speak, the language you use, the definitions you have of yourself, be clear and concise with that. Pay attention to the other person a lot more than giving them everything about you, because there is a TMI moment. Pay attention to how you've categorized people into your network. Some people you can TMI with all day long, and other people don't even go close. Don't even go about politics. Even sometimes in certain areas of the country, don't even talk about the weather. It makes us sad. So you just watch what you talk about in those areas as well. Be intentional. And that is all on you. Your mood, when you walk into a place, check your face. If you're in a good mood, everybody else will be in a good mood too. They don't affect you, you affect them. You take the intentionality with that. If you want to have a good impact in the world, be in a good mood for starters. If you cannot be in a good mood, go into an event, fix it, or don't go. That would be my advice.
And again, I want to say thank you to author Christy Smallwood. And I want to, again, I've put in the chat box a link where you can register to join her tonight for live one-on-one network. Well, not one-on-one, there's going to be a group, but you actually get the opportunity with video and audio to meet everybody in the room. And Christy has also put her link in the chat box for her book, that she is giving you an opportunity to read for free right now. But you can buy her book. There it is, on Amazon. All right, you guys have a great day. We will see you next Wednesday at 10 a.m.